are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sean Abbey. You've entered into the How to Run an Effective Union Meeting webinar. Welcome. We're glad you're here today. We got a good group of people here, good amount, so we're glad you're here. I don't know what it's like where you're at, but where I'm at, it's raining and basically a normal dreary fall rainy day. So good time to be indoors going through a class versus having nice sun out where we want to be outside. So thanks for being here. Like I said, we're going to be talking about union meetings and how we do that. My name is Sean Abbey. I've been with Local 3174 for 25 years. During that time, I served in other roles there in that local, including president. And so I preside over many union meetings at that time and still do a lot of meetings to this date. A second district vice president serving the west side of the state. And I'm an IFF service rep as well, and I sit on the MPFFU Education Training Committee, which puts courses like this together for you and your membership. I've been sitting on that for a really long time, and I'm proud to chair that committee, and we put a lot of good stuff out. And I'm joined on that committee by my brother, Andy.
Hi, Andy Hood, Harrison Township, Local 1737. Just over 20 years on here, probably about half of that time in executive board leadership positions, vice president, president. And I too have chaired a number of union meetings, some good, some bad. But we'll get into that a little bit later. I also serve on the Education and Training Committee for probably about 6 or 8 years now. Currently vice chair there. And work on putting these together and presenting classes for everybody.
All right, as we go through this today, Andy's going to be your lead instructor talking about the content, and I'll chime in as we go. But I'm going to be kind of handling the technology in the webinar area. You've got a panel there up on your screen, so you're going to see my screen as well. And I'll go between this screen and unfortunately there's going to be a rock screen as well. That's kind of how I manage the everything on that screen. You're going to just see some rocks, kind of that'll flip back and forth a little bit. All that means is I'm kind of checking on to see if there's any questions or if people are raising their hands or anything like that. On your little panel there's an area where you can ask questions. You can raise your hand. If you raise your hand, we can call on you, and then I can unmute your microphone and let you ask a question or talk or whatever. And then you can also chat. There's chat things on there. You can chat with just me, Andy, just send something out to anybody. So we'll try to keep up with those as well. So please feel free. I know one thing about a webinar, the interaction sometimes isn't what it is, or is never what it is in a classroom setting. So don't be afraid to get involved and send some stuff in. So please submit questions and we'll answer polls. We'll have poll questions as we go through, and those are a good way to kind of have some input as well. We'll try to have question and answer periods as we move through the program as much as possible. So we'll kind of see how this is going to work. We're going to launch our first poll. And this first poll is right here. Have you chaired a meeting before? And how are your local meetings? So you can answer twice. So you can answer the first question up top, and then at the bottom, there's 3 other answers for the second question. So you can pick both of those. So you can pick yes, I have, or no, you haven't, and then also that your meetings are great, they're okay, or they're not so good. And just kind of give us some input as far as what everybody thinks out there about what they've done, and kind of give us a gauge of who's in the audience. We'll leave it up for about another 10 seconds or so, and then we're going to kind of keep moving on. All right, close. So we've got about 70% of you have chaired a meeting, so that's good. We've got a good group of people with a lot of background. However, of the 70, 15% say they're great, well organized. You're probably just being humble. I'm sure you guys are running good meetings, and members are happy. Maybe that's where it gets caught up a little bit. Sometimes our members aren't necessarily happy at any of our meetings because they're sitting in a meeting. But we'll see how that goes as we go through this. And a lot of you, 62%, said that they're okay. They're pretty relaxed, and the members don't seem to mind them. And there's only 8% of you that thought that they're not that good, very unorganized, and the members don't like them. So that's kind of good kind of gauge where we're at, and kind of kick us off from there. We are going to ask a quick question, so give you a chance to raise your hands. Just real quick, pick on somebody or a couple people. Why do we have union meetings? Why do we even have those? Anybody? Anyone want to raise their hand? There we go. We got Brent. Go ahead, Brent. Can you hear me? Oh, Brent's.
Yep. There you
Oh,
go.
there you are.
Sorry. I'm
Hey,
still
Brent.
trying to figure this thing out.
That's okay. That's why we're doing this. So, Brent, why do we have union meetings?
To update the membership on the happenings of the previous month that maybe the executive board were involved in, and then to plan future events and settle any maybe charitable business that needs to be done.
That's very good. It's to kind of give the members an update of where we are, and then give them an opportunity to give some input on where we want to go next. So you're hitting it right on the head, and that can be charitable stuff to grievances to whatever. But it's kind of letting people know where we've been and giving the members a chance to give directions on where we're going to go. Thanks, Brent.
No problem.
All right. So very good. Right where we need to be.
So objectives of this seminar or this webinar. What directs your meetings, rules of order, how to prepare for a union meeting, how to conduct the meeting, elections, and member involvement in your union meetings. These are kind of the things we're going to cover as we go through this in the next hour and 15 minutes. And of course, like everything else, there's disclaimers. Anyone can use this information provided in this training program and should rely solely on their own independent judgment or, as appropriate, seek the advice of a competent professional in determining the exercise of reasonable care in any given circumstance. A couple of these we're going to read word for word, and here we are for our poll question number 1. I guess it's number 2 now, isn't it?
Yeah, we just added an extra one in the initial. So this is the first initial important one. First one was just a kickoff. Yeah. So what's the most important thing to consider when planning a meeting? Everybody chime in there real quick. All right, we're almost at 70%. I'll give you another couple seconds. Anybody else want to chime in? There we go. We're over 70% now. The results. So it's kind of a trick question because a lot of these are there, but good ones, your time, your location, your agenda are all important, but a lot of those come from one thing that can be your local bylaws, and the local bylaws and your agenda are definitely crucial things to consider when you're laying out your meeting. So we got most of the people right in that area, and the time and stuff like that can also be determined right through your local bylaws. I'll let Andy talk about that.
So local bylaws. Your local bylaws, constitution and bylaws, are generally what provide a framework for the meeting. Some constitution and bylaws are very thin and don't provide much information, and there's some that's very, very thorough that you can tell the local's done a lot of work on them. Local constitution and bylaws provide a framework for the meeting, dates, times, locations, what your quorum is, agenda and minutes of the meetings, and it can determine some things that are in and out of order when you're discussing the meetings.
And that last part's crucial, the items that are out of order, because as a chair of a meeting, if people are trying to discuss things that cannot be contemplated or deliberated on at that meeting, then you're wasting a lot of time. For example, we just had one in a meeting I was at recently where they were trying to change some monetary things, some dues things, and some money they're trying to pay some different people. Well, there's a specific bylaw in their constitution bylaws that says that any type of monetary change or anything like that needs to be posted 2 weeks before the meeting. All members have to be notified, all this kind of stuff in the bylaws. So really that whole discussion was out of order because they really couldn't take action on it anyways. So it's really important to know what's in there. And like Andy said, a lot of them can be thick and a lot of stuff's in them. So it's important you know what's in them, because if you don't know what's in them in your constitution bylaws, then how would you even know that was in there or that even was out of order? So it's really crucial. It's also good to get these out. Get your bylaws out. It's amazing how many locals I'll go into and they haven't seen their bylaws in a long time. So it's crucial, and not only they're a living document. Make sure you know where they're at. Keep them updated. When you get them updated, make sure they go through the IFF. Their council has to go through and approve them. So make sure you get them, you vote on them at your local, and then get those approved by the IFF as well. And then make sure they're out there so everybody knows them, from the veteran guy that's been there forever to the brand new guy in the job. Everybody should know where your bylaws are and what's in them, and why they're so important. So they're crucial.
So some of the important meetings that may be referenced in your bylaws or that you have at your disposal. Executive board meetings. As you work throughout the month, your executive board in a large local, you might not see those people, so it's important that you have executive board meetings and you take minutes on those. A lot of work of the union is done through committees. So as your local, you look in your constitution and bylaws and see how to establish a committee, or what committees you have, or when committees are discharged. It's important that your committees actually meet as well to get done the work of the union. Special meetings. There's generally a reference to what can a special meeting be called for, how to call it, and why to call a special meeting. Those are things that as a presiding officer you need to know. Members' rights. It's important who can vote in your meeting. Discuss which members are fee pays versus union members. They have some different things that they can vote on under their rights. Be careful voting on anything dealing with a collective bargaining agreement. I mentioned fee payers. There's some members of some locals who've chosen not to become a member of the union but are a member of the bargaining unit. And they have a right to vote on the contract because it applies to them and they're paying a service fee for it. We did just discuss this a bit more in the leadership seminar. And also it's important to know what rules of order your local uses. There's two main ones, and I think that'll slide right into our next poll question.
Yeah, and those committees too, when you're starting to do that kind of stuff, is a great way to get people involved in your local. Take those people that seem to have a little passion for working with your local, and kind of give them something that they can put their hands on and they can do, and give them some good direction to help the local. And you could be fostering, a future union president, which is kind of what we want to do, right? We want to create more leaders, not more followers. So that's kind of crucial. All right. Next poll we're going to go to is, what rules of order does your local use? Atwoods or Roberts? Take a quick second to answer that, please. These polls are also how we can tell you if you're paying attention or not. All right, we'll give you a couple more seconds. Anybody else want to chime in? All right, close the poll. So yeah, Atwoods is about 29%, and Roberts rules at 71%. So we still have some people using Atwoods, which is fine, and some people have switched over and are using Roberts, which is fine as well. So whatever you use, know which ones you're using. We'll talk about those as we go forward.
So rules of order are in place to ensure that everyone has an equal opportunity to voice their opinion in an organized democratic fashion. Many include minority opinion in the notes. Something to remember about rules of order. They're put in place to protect the minority opinion, to allow the minority opinion to be brought forward and discussed, and then help make sure everybody doesn't feel disenfranchised, help everyone participate, and then move on and make a decision. A couple of the more typical ones, Atwoods. Said about 30% of the people in the poll use Atwoods. Atwoods was the original IAFF rules of order, and it provides for a two-meeting system, which means you have a meeting one day and then another shift has a meeting another day. A couple of differences, or specifications or particular points. Atwoods, members cannot challenge the chair in interpreting the bylaws. That's solely the chair of the meeting's determination, so that's different than Roberts. Members can only speak once for 10 minutes on a motion except the motion maker. Voting. There's procedures for voting, a voice vote, hand vote, standing vote. Those are all different procedures of votings for different situations. Atwoods are a definite benefit for larger locals who aren't able to get all their members together or the majority of their members together, and they have to have two different meetings. Some locals will have one on Tuesday and one on Thursday so that all the different shifts can attend. And some locals that are smaller only have a couple stations, and they're able to do that by getting everyone together in a single meeting, tend to slide towards Robert's rules. Currently, the IAFF and the MPFFU use Robert's rules. A couple of the differences between Atwoods. Members can appeal the chair's interpretation of the bylaws. They're updated frequently. Members can speak twice for 10 minutes on a motion. And voting procedures are similar. Depends on your local practice a lot of times. But, voice votes are allowed, hand votes, that type of thing. One thing that's definitely important when you are presiding over a meeting, Robert's Rules is a very, very thick book. It's what our local uses, which is why I'm familiar with it, is to have the rules with you. Sometimes you do get challenged, and it might take a few minutes for you to look through the book and determine if the challenge has merit. And there you are. There's your Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised. That's currently on the 11th edition. There's a number of sections in there that are important. Make sure you have your copy with you, and tab important areas that you refer to often. Some meetings are a lot less technical, so you may not need to get into Robert's or Atwood's rules very often, but some are a lot more technical. And to the point that parliamentarian is appointed, and that person's the one that has the rules and interprets the rules if there's a challenge to the chair.
And at the end of the day, if you're chairing a meeting, you want to be the most scholared or the most educated person in the room on your rules of order. If you're chairing the meeting, you should know what's going on, and you shouldn't worry about someone from the floor calling for something out of the rules that you're unaware of. So it's really important to make sure you know those rules of order and how to follow them. That way you can deal with anything that happens on the floor. Like I said, you want to be the smartest one in the room when it comes to those rules, so you're not caught off guard. And that's hard to do because there's a lot of our members that are really well versed in how the rules work. Any questions on the rules? I look at your pane right now. See if anybody's got a question. No questions on any of that stuff. Okay, I'll keep going here.
All right, scheduling meeting. Most important thing in scheduling your meeting is following your Constitution and bylaws. Your Constitution and bylaws typically tell you when your meetings are, tell you what times they are, where they are, and that's important. Make sure you post for your meetings and notify everyone earlier. It's easy to forget. Put it in your calendar so that you put notifications out. Our local sends out about a week before the union meeting request for information. Hey, what do you guys want on a union meeting agenda? It's good that you get those things out early so that everyone's reminded not only of the meeting but also as an opportunity to input information or discussion topics on the agenda. And how that gets put on there is up to each individual local. Local union leaders can remind your shift of when your union meetings are. Hopefully there's shift stewards or something in your larger locals, and they can kind of keep you guys up to speed. Email is probably the biggest reminder now of local union meetings. Some group texts can remind people of union meetings, and there's other ways to schedule text to go out like that.
Hey, it was interesting. I just was at a union meeting the other day, and not my local, at a different local, and something I found interesting was I just was at a class talking about communications, and while email is awesome and everybody gets it, we need to do a better job in our subject lines. A lot of people on their phones and technology and things like that, they just look at the subject a lot of times. What happened in this particular local was they changed the venue. at the last minute. So one of the members had looked at his phone real quick. He just thought it was a simple reminder, but it was actually a change in venue, so they moved it to a different place. So he showed up at the other place and was trying to find out, and they said, well, we sent an email out about that. He's like, well, I just thought it was a simple reminder. So it's really important to specify in your instead of just forwarding something out or whatever, may put right in your subject, location, union meeting location change or whatever, something that stands out to make sure. Or if you're just reminding everybody about the union, say reminder union meeting this week versus just something union meeting and then some information after it. So really kind of try to hit people in as short of space as possible, and that subject line is a really good place to do that. And then just put kind of any extra stuff in the body. But use that technology, but beware, it can be a crutch too, because I don't know, how many emails do you get a day, Andy?
Oh, geez. Every hour my thing uploads, I got to delete 10 junk emails or email
Right,
that
right. Yeah, so emails, I mean, I'm not here to say it's white noise yet, but I mean, remember the fax machines back in the day, and some of you younger guys might not even know that when they started doing these fax blasts, and these companies just send out junk faxes, these spam faxes. And so faxes, people would throw 10 pieces of paper away, and lo and behold, there's one thing in there they actually needed to see. So it's kind of, I don't want to say it's necessarily white noise yet, but keep in mind that, that's why it says on here, local leaders remind your shift. That might mean you got a steward on each shift or a e-board member on each shift. Call each of the stations and say, reminder, if you've got a general page, a lot of, you can have a general page, it's going to page the evening, before you go on break or before the meeting's going to be, and get on there and say, hey, just remind everybody, remember we got a union meeting tomorrow night at this time, blah, blah, blah. And that way everybody sees it. So just do whatever you can to get there, because we're all really busy. So the more reminders you have, the better. Texting's another good thing. If you're going to get just a general text for your local, because that seems to be one of the ways that people really want to get their information.
A couple other things people use, Facebook or Twitter. If you have a union Facebook page or union Twitter feed, you can keep those up to date. And, that's all dependent on your members keeping up with that technology as well. And another thing to consider is consider other conflicts. There's a lot of times we send members to FDIC, State Union Convention, International Convention, other educational training seminars that may interfere with the union meetings. So as a local leader, you need to be aware of that, and at times modify your union meetings to accommodate those things that are not able to be moved.
For example, you probably wouldn't want to schedule a really important union meeting on November 15th. Is that true?
Yeah, I would say that's true for the majority, for quite more so our northern members and a lot of our southern members as well.
Yeah, we have a hard enough time getting our members there anyways, so make it as easy as possible and as convenient as possible. A lot of locals, I don't know about yours, Andy, do you guys do anything in the summer?
We do. Okay. And I was just going to mention our union meeting schedule is the first Thursday of the month at 9 a.m.
Okay.
The 1 month that really conflicts with is July, because that's right around 4th of July vacation. So we typically will reschedule our July union meeting.
Yeah, we suspended ours in our bylaws. We actually changed it and got rid of the July meeting just because it was so. And then we've got it. If the local needs to meet, obviously they can call a special meeting. But generally, we don't have a lot of stuff going at that time, anyways, because no one is really doing much of anything except enjoying the summer.
Yeah, it's vacation season too. So.
Yep. So, all right, cool. Next poll question: how many members generally attend your union meetings? There's your poll. If you take a second and answer that, please. I'll give you a few more seconds here. If you get a chance to go ahead and click on one of those. All right, we're going to close the poll. All right, so we got a good split there, really. We've got about 3/4 of you, roughly, are under 50%. And we've got a quarter of you actually less than 10. So that can be telling. And it depends on the size of your local, too. If you got a 500-person local. I'm here to tell you, I was at a meeting about this sort of thing 2 years ago. Matter of fact, it was at the IFF Alts, the one that they did, the 8th District one, that's actually coming up for any of you. It's November 14th and 15th down in Indianapolis. 2 years ago, I was at that, and there's a union leader from Phoenix. And he was saying, so I can't remember how many local members they have in Phoenix. It's a large number. But he's saying even there, they get less than 20. Their quorum is something like 15, and at a local that size. And we'll talk a little bit more as we go through on that. Don't let that reflect on what's going on. Sometimes people are happy. Generally, people show up for one reason: they're either contract or they're mad. So, don't necessarily think that low numbers a reflection on they don't want to be there, whatever. It can be that, but a lot of times it's just they've got other stuff going on. So just do what you can to get them there, and a lot of times that comes from having good, short, concise meetings, to the point, organized, things like that. The things we're going to be talking about that'll help drive those numbers up. So I like that there's 20% that have over 75%. That's good right there. You guys are.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, you guys are doing some good stuff there.
The only time we get 75% at our meetings is a contract meeting. We
Yes.
get a ratified contract.
Right. So there's the numbers. So it's kind of interesting. You guys are kind of scattered out about there. So we'll kind of go through this and see why that is. Any other questions? I'm on the screen. Nope. All right, we'll move back over.
So when is it time to change things up? So as Sean talked about, low attendance isn't always a sign that things are bad. It could be a sign, and you'll know real quick if you get high attendance and people are mad, but a lot of times low attendance doesn't mean anything except, hey, everything's good. A lot of people are happy, they're busy, everyone's got families, and there's a lot of time that people just don't show up to the meeting because they assume everything's going well and they don't need to. But if you are concerned and it's time to change some things up, there's some things that can help improve your union meeting turnout and participation. You can consider a bylaws change, change the venue of your union meetings, different days, different times. We, in my local, changed from evening meetings to morning meetings. Years ago, it used to be everybody lived in the community where they worked, so it was easier for everyone to, hey, let's get together, have an evening union meeting, and go out and have beers after. That's not to say that doesn't happen with morning union meetings, but people living a long distance away. My local has open residency. People live a long distance away, and they get off duty and want to go home. They don't want to wait around all day to have a union meeting. So we moved ours to the morning, and we get a better turnout that way. And some people will go out and have a few beers after. You can offer incentives for union meetings. Some locals would increase dues by $10 a month, and then pay you $10 if you attend a union meeting. Sometimes a change in venue works. Some big unions have their own halls where there's really not a good way to change the venue, but there's other things you can do there too. Even union halls can get a keg of beer or something like that. I keep coming back to beer because it typically goes with our union meetings. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Anything to help.
Yeah. A lot of the small locals have their union meetings right in their station, and they're allowed to do that. By going somewhere else, that might create maybe rent a place at a restaurant and maybe even have dinner with a union meeting or something. Changing your quorum. If your quorum is 75% of your membership, which it seems high, but I imagine there's some locals like that. If you decrease your quorum, people might say, well, actually, no, I can show up because we never get quorum at 75%, but now it's 25%. So now I can actually go there and we can actually get business done. That's another way you can manage that.
I'm sorry, Andy. I encourage participation. I think that's good too, because I think we need to separate the firehouse from the union business. So many of these guys coming in, I get a lot of questions like, man, how can we get our new people involved? How can we get new people involved? Things like that. If I had the silver bullet for that, I'd be a millionaire, but I don't. It's just the way it is. But you can't go all day telling stupid rookies stupid, and then say, hey, by the way, stupid rook, you gonna be at the union meeting tomorrow night? It's kind of one of those things. I understand that the firehouse is a firehouse, but remember, we want to try and get those people in, bring them in the fold, because they're going to be the ones that need to pick up the torch. So we need to foster that participation.
A way to get your rookies involved is put them on a committee. You pick up, you get a charity committee, and you get a rookie that they're always, they're typically ready to go, always excited. Get them involved that way. Put them on the charity committee. Let them help with some sort of charity event, and that'll help foster again future leaders and get them more involved in your local.
I didn't really talk about the handouts, but there's handouts attached to this program, so make sure you download those. One of them is there's an example agenda. There's a that's kind of sitting there on the side. You can see it, but that's one of your handouts. So if you need help kind of creating a better agenda, or you want another way, that's there for you.
So some of the things to consider when you're doing your agenda, who does it, who has input, that type of thing, but design a template for your agenda. You can build the template right into Microsoft Word, so it's a standing template, and you just pop in your new data for the month. Like Sean said, there's an example in the handouts there. It's important to have your previous meeting minutes included in your agenda for approval, as well as to have them there to discuss unfinished business. It could include a number of other things. It could include a moment of silence, a pledge of allegiance. There's a ton of different things you can include what your local practice is. Correspondence is typically included in an agenda, and a lot of correspondence a local gets doesn't need to be dispersed to the entire local, but there is some that does. Follow your bylaws. If your bylaws say you hold elections in November, make sure you put on your November agenda that you have elections, or at least whenever you appoint a committee for that, or however your local proceeds in the elections. My local, if we want members to put something on the agenda, or our vice president or secretary will shoot something out. Email goes out 7 to 10 days before the meeting. Members get a chance to add information or add requests or put stuff on the agenda, and we show up at our union meeting with an established agenda. It has its normal, regular committee reports and everything like that, but it gives more members more input, and again, reminds them of the union meeting, which is important. Post your agenda or send it out on time. Our local, we don't post the agenda. We just, everyone submits information, and it's approved at the beginning of the meeting, and we move on. A lot of locals will require it to be posted, the agenda posted before the union meeting a week, 7 days, 10 days, something like that. Or make sure you get it sent out on time if that's what your local requires.
Any questions on agendas before we move on? Checking down the list here. Everybody doing good? All right.
So minutes. Minutes are very important to a local. It's a record of the business that's been kept. Typically, best options for recording your minutes are written or typed. Voice or video recorded are not preferred. Your minutes, you want to capture the motions and the votes, not all the argument and discussion that goes on between them. Some favor written. There's pros and cons to both of them. Written minutes are very tough to edit or modify. Executive boards change, and a written recording of minutes is very, very difficult to change, whereas something that's stored in a computer is relatively easy to change. You can go in there and change, not that anything is going to happen, but you can change content of your minutes. Minutes need to include the date and time the meeting is called to order and when it's adjourned. Needs to list the board members present. List all the members that are present. You can use a roster. You can sign in. My local's small enough for 27 people that as the meeting begins, the secretary records the members that are present. Minutes need to note if a quorum has been met. You need to add members that show up late, or remove members that leave early. A minute should follow the agenda. Your secretary should take brief notes as you go. They should be brief and reflect what was done, not what was said.
Remember too, on the minutes, so your maker should be noted if whoever's making the motions, and then the motions need to be exact. This is something I see a lot is people they want to make a motion like, oh, sir, yes, Brother Abby, go ahead. Yeah, I really think, we've been talking back here, and I'm thinking maybe we should be sending some guys to the IFF convention. I mean, we just kind of think that's probably a good idea. And it's like, well, what's your motion, brother? All right. I mean, you need to get what the exact motion is, and sometimes you need to help your members out because sometimes they kind of get like that, and you don't want to make it. You want to make it an open forum so they're comfortable to speak and speak their mind, but also help them to get that motion on the floor and to get it exact. And then, you might even have the chair or the secretary might ask the maker to write it down or to, walk through it very clearly. You'll see this a lot at the state. The state and the IFF do a really good job with this because they have it typed up on the screen so you can kind of see it. But sometimes I've seen it in locals where it's just kind of muttered and mumbled through, and some people aren't even clear exactly what they're voting on or what the actual motion is. So make sure it's clear, concise. Everybody knows what it is. It's written clearly in the minutes, so everybody knows who voted on it, or who made the motion, who seconded the motion, and what the actual motion is. And then the secretary or chair can read that back and make sure they've got it correct before we start speaking on the for and against of the particular motion.
It's like Sean was saying, a lot of times one word in a motion can make a huge difference in the meaning of the motion. So if it's a contentious issue or there's going to be a lot of debate on it, it may be beneficial to have the member making the motion after he mumbles through it. Say, all right, look, let's get this right. Slow the meeting down for a second. Have him actually write down his motion word for word so that we're all clear on what's being debated, even at the local level. Include in your minutes committee action. Doesn't have to be the entire report of the committee. Some committee reports may be small enough you can include the whole thing. But a lot of times committees will recommend action, and you can include that in the minutes. Understanding your minutes are your official record of the local's business. They've got to be clear and thorough as to the motions and the outcomes of motions. The secretary should complete and distribute pending minutes as soon as possible. And again, their pending minutes should be adopted at the next regular meeting. That's what makes them official. Errors can be changed, but not actions. So if the local, say for example, voted to send $500 to MDA, but the minutes reflect that it was a different charity, you can change the error that was made to reflect the motion, but you have to follow through on the motion that was made. The money goes to MDA, not NDA or something like that. Minutes can be used against the local. They're a legal proceeding of your meeting. So
that's a good thing to remember, that they are legal. It can be a legal document, but that's also kind of speaks to what Andy was talking about with, you don't need to put in there every single word, because if this stuff is subpoenaed or if this stuff is brought to court or something like that, you don't want in there. Well, Andy said he didn't understand why we were pursuing this grievance with Abby, because Abby's a huge a-hole, and we should never be. Well, that should not be in your minutes. So that's why keep your minutes as clear and concise as possible, but you don't need to have every single sentence that every single person says through the meeting, because they can be used against you. Okay, anything else, Andy?
Right, question. No, I think we're ready to move.
Real quick, we got a question from Brent. So Brent, I'm going to turn you on here. You there, Brent? There you go.
Yeah. When I was the secretary treasurer for our local, I was obviously in charge of the minutes, and whenever I'd write them down during the meeting, and then I would go and transcribe them into the computer. When you're in a Word document, when you go to save, you can save it as a PDF. Whenever I was finished, I would save them as a PDF, and then I would delete the actual Word file. So then all of my documents, I guess, that I turned over to the new secretary treasurer are just PDFs, so nothing can ever be changed or edited. I don't know if that's a good practice, but that's just what I did.
No, it's actually a great idea. The point of the minutes is to make them so that they're not modifiable and a permanent record, and that's one way you can do it. I'm not too familiar with the ways you can manipulate those type of things, but even if you were to print those out and put them in a binder and even sign the document itself, that's another way you can create a permanent record as well. But yeah,
Perfect.
you know, that speaks to the goal of creating a permanent record of the meeting minutes.
Okay, good, Brent. All right, thanks, Brent. Another quick poll, and this is does your local read the pending minutes word for word before voting to accept? Some places still do this word for word, and some people don't. It's kind of out there, just kind of seeing kind of where we're at on this. All right, cool. We got almost 70%. There you go. So 62% of you are reading your pending minutes word for word, and about 38% are not. So the plus and the minus of that are obviously if you're reading them word for word, you know exactly what you're voting on, which is a good thing, and it's not a for sure thing or not. It's kind of whatever your local has kind of been doing. Obviously, with technology and things like that, a lot of times people can see them before actually have to read them. Probably the only real downfall prior to reading the minutes is if you had a particularly long meeting, you know, and you're going to spend a good portion of this meeting reading them, that could be an issue, I guess, for some people. But it gives you a good reflection. What did you guys read yours, Andy?
So yeah, my local does.
Okay.
My local secretary will take just a regular piece of lined paper, take notes throughout the meeting. After the meeting's over, transcribe the minutes, and then put them into a permanent book that we keep. And you know, our minutes go back at least a decade. But yeah, the secretary will bring that book out, go to the previous meeting minutes, read them word for word. And if there are changes, he'll actually make a handwritten, you know, cross out, strike out a letter, strike out a word, and initial it. And then once the meeting minutes are accepted, the paper signed, and we move on. But yeah, we read ours word for word.
Cool. Yeah, I know that obviously there's quite a few people that do.
Yeah, it just depends on what your local practice is. You know, neither one's right or wrong. It's just what they are.
Perfect. All right.
So, responsibilities of the chair of a meeting. Start your meetings on time. That's something that frustrates a lot of people. You have a 9 a.m. or a 7 p.m. union meeting start time. Everyone shows up late. Everyone's strolling in, and the meeting doesn't start until 8:15 or 7:15 or 9:15, 15 minutes late, whatever it might be. That really frustrates the people that are on time. And, you know, part of being a good chair is getting your meeting started on time. You know, it's 5 minutes to make sure your executive board's in there and your executive board's ready. That shows professionalism and get your meeting started on time. There will be people that straggle in late and leave early. That's just a fact of life, unfortunately. Knowing your bylaws and rules of order. You should have a rules of order book with you and your bylaws with you when you're presiding at a meeting. At your side, IFF Manual of Common Procedure as well, collective bargaining agreement, and your gavel. In presiding over my meetings, very infrequently had to use the gavel, but sometimes meetings get out of hand. You can gavel a meeting into recess and, you know, take 5 minutes, get everybody calm back down, and come back into meeting. It's your job to maintain order as the chair of the meeting. And important thing to remember is the chair presides over the meeting and the members direct. I've been at some bad union meetings where the chair took every comment as a chance to personally debate the issue, which is really not the job of a chair. The chair of the meeting is to direct the meeting and not discuss the merits of the issues. It's up to the members to discuss the merits of the issue. The chair is the one that provides the function and order for them to do so. That's important, very important to running a union meeting. Know your rules of order and allow the members to have the debate.
Hey, Andy, if so we're having debate, members are having debate, how should that go? Where should the members be directing all their comments?
Members should always be directing their comments to the chair. You should, as a chair, if you have whatever the motion might be, one member speak in favor of it, and it's a very passionate issue and there's passion on both sides, and the next member speaking against it and starts talking to the previous speaker, the chair at that point should rule him out of order and tell him to direct his comments to the chair. That way you eliminate the back and forth banter and you allow your members to make their points clearly and not in a confrontational manner.
Yeah, that's a great point. And then, I mean, you should be seen as a neutral party. The chair should be. So if I'm arguing my point, let's say, with another member, and I'm going through you, that tends to take me down a little bit because you're just a neutral party. You're not on one side or the other, supposedly. So I'm not arguing with you. I'm just stating my opinion to you, and it can kind of keep the room in balance a little better and allow everybody to um, speak their mind. Because the thing about it is, if you start going down that road where people are arguing and it becomes very divisive and everything like that, that creates a atmosphere that people don't want to share their ideas and don't want to give their input, and that's absolutely what we do not want. So going through the chair like that's really going to help keep the room where it needs to be, and try to keep everybody on a level playing field.
Additionally, if a member gets off base or goes off on a tangent, and whatever they're saying isn't even germane to the issue you're talking about, you can rule them out of order and say, focus on the issue at hand, whatever that might be. So there's a few tools that the chair has to help focus debate in the direction that the members want. Other responsibilities of the chair is to understand the agenda. The chair is the one that is working through the agenda, and it's important that he understands what's on the agenda and why, he or she. The chair usually does not vote. My local, the chair is only allowed to vote to break a tie. The chair needs to remain impartial and not influence the debate in any way. The chair does need to make sure the debate is orderly and all the debates directed to the chair. Debate that occurs, you don't want the mudslinging or any of the offhand comments or something like that. That's a good place if you get a strong chairman of the meeting. He can maintain the debate, keeping it germane to the issue, and rule out of order comments that aren't. The chair may adjourn the meeting, and this happens pretty infrequently in my local. If you end up with a meeting that gets unruly, the chair can adjourn the meeting with a pound of the gavel and get up and walk out. If there's a hazardous condition, or if it's just time for the adjournment. Some locals say our meetings start at X time and end at the next time. It might be a 1 hour meeting, a 90-minute meeting, whatever it is, and the locals' practice might be that at that time frame the meeting's over, whether business is done or not. And that's up to the chair to do. But the most important thing is for the chair to be consistent in enforcing the rules.
Yeah, and that's crucial. Pretty much every class I've ever attended dealing with either the rules or just chairing a meeting, really they talk a lot about just the consistency. However you run your meetings, just be consistent. Now, I will caution you and say this. If they're being run bad when you take over, don't just consistently run them bad. I mean, make change. That's why you're in this class. So it's a slippery slope there. So if the membership is used to poor meetings, then maybe it's time to change that up. But once you're in the chair spot, be consistent with how you do things and how you run the meeting, because that's what the membership's going to be used to, and they're going to get used to how you do things. If all of a sudden one meeting you're kind of really lax and you're kind of letting people talk and whatever, and it's kind of, but it's going fine and nothing's no harm, and then the next meeting it's kind of going on the same path, and then all of a sudden you're like, no one's talking unless they've got motions and everything like that, that you're really getting, your membership's going to kind of be confused as far as where's this all coming from. So you can either say, I'm just mad, or I just went to how to run a meeting, and this is how we're going to do it now. But either way, be consistent. Just don't be consistently bad. Consistently poor chairs leads to uninvolved and really uninspired membership that do not want to participate and don't want to attend your meetings.
The IAFF Manual of Common Procedures has a sample agenda and things like that you can use. If you're coming into the union presidency and you're going to start running meetings and you don't like how they're going now, you can. What I did in one instance when I became union president was said, look, here's how our agenda is going to go. Here's the rules we're going to use, and I'm going to try to enforce them consistently. I know it's a change with what everyone's used to, and it took a few months for everybody to catch on, but in my opinion, it made our meetings better, more consistent, and got business done quicker. And the next union president might tweak that a little bit or change those rules a little bit too. So, but if you're going to establish something, make sure you establish it and stick with it throughout your term, and that lends a lot of credibility to you as well. So here's 6 steps to effectively presiding from Robert's Rules. This is the 2nd edition. Memorize constantly used procedures. If your local has motions that get modified constantly, you should know how to do that off the top of your head. You shouldn't have to dig through the rules. Make sure everybody knows what's being debated and voted on. In my local, someone offers a motion, the chair repeats it so that everyone hears it, and then prior to the vote, the chair repeats the motion again so that everybody knows what's going on, what they're debating and what they're voting on. Learn how to conduct a meeting, or conduct voting, sorry. Robert's Rules outline some specific ways to vote: voice vote, hand vote, standing vote, that type of stuff. And you may or may not adopt those specifically from Robert's Rules, or your local may have a slightly different practice. Just understand what the practice is, and how people can challenge the vote and what happens next. Know the steps in a meeting, which points of order you go through first, or which items of your agenda you go through first, and things like that. Learn how to handle points of order and appeals. A point of order is a very specific thing. Someone's trying to bring something parliamentary to your attention. Appeals. Some people would challenge the vote, challenge the rule of the chair. Understand how to do those things. There's specific paragraphs in Robert's Rules of Order, which is what I'm most familiar with, and as well as Atwood's, that tell you how to address these issues. And it's important that you know more about parliamentary procedure than the other members. A lot of times you'll have a member that hears something, a point of order, and at that point the meeting's supposed to stop and the point's supposed to be recognized, and then someone goes off on a tangent that's not a point of order, but he just wants to talk. So you need to rule that person out of order, but you wouldn't know to do that if you didn't know more about parliamentary procedure than the rest of your members.
Anybody have any questions at this point? As we go, I'm kind of taking a look real quick. Everybody still doing good? All right, we're getting there. We're almost there. To a little bit longer.
Motions. So dealing with motions. There's a lot of information in all of your rules that deal with motions. Common motions, which are just someone, the chair recognizes someone from the floor. They say, I move, and I like the MDA example, I move that we donate $100 to MDA. That'd just be a common motion. A motion gets seconded, it's open for debate. There can be amendments to motions. The amendment may be someone is recognized by the chair, says, I move that we amend this motion to make the donation $150. There's rules that follow for that, and make sure you look through your rule book. A point of order. Someone may rise for a point of order. They're not debating the motion that's in front of there. They're trying to make a parliamentary point that there may be a functional error in the union meeting. How to withdraw a motion, and how to table a motion. Tabled motion, according to Robert's Rules, takes a 2/3 vote, and it stays on the table until it's voted off the table.
Anybody want to make a quick motion? Anyone? Want to raise their hand? All right, we'll keep going. Anyways, yeah, just make sure you recognize and motions kind of are handled through this order.
So every local conducts elections, and that gets into a lot of debate, how we vote, how we have to do things, and there's specific stuff. First and foremost, you have to have Constitution and bylaws that address elections, and you have to follow them. There's federal labor election laws because we elect people to represent us at the local level, and those people at the local level, your executive board or whoever you elect, elects people at a national level or AAFF members. There's very specific laws that follow regarding elections and mailing of ballots and all that type of stuff. That stuff can cause a significant problem if it's not followed correctly. Typically it doesn't, because generally in the IAFF our stuff isn't contested, but there's a lot of stuff that could have happened that could bring negative light to the IAFF, and so as long as you have legitimate election rules and you follow them, everything should be okay. A lot of locals will have an election committee. An election committee would seek nominations for positions on your local executive board, whatever those positions may be. You need to have an open and transparent voting process. Anything that looks skewed shouldn't be occurring. There has to be some sort of subject to challenge or some sort of a way to challenge the rule. Your election committee should be the ones counting the ballots and the only ones that see the ballots. Electronic voting.
There's a handout from the IFF on that's in their handouts, Andy.
Gotcha. Okay.
Talks to that. That's what that asterisk is there.
Gotcha. So there is a handout. Electronic voting. My local uses mail voting ballots. We mail the ballots out to everyone's last known address, and they have a certain time to return them. And you need to keep the ballots until the next election for that seat. If there's ever a challenge for who's presiding over a meeting or who's the treasurer or whatever it might be, you need to be able to verify that the election was held correctly and that the election committee tabulated the ballots correctly. Elections are a very serious matter for the locals because of the federal labor election laws that are in place. You have to make sure that your elections are run correctly.
And on that ballots, keeping the ballots too, you could have some bylaw or something like that says you need to keep them longer. So make sure you know what your local process is. And then especially, so as far as the seriousness of it, like what Andy talked about, especially if, and I shouldn't say especially, it should be any time, but one of the things that you can get in trouble with is if you've got some kind of language in your bylaw that says whoever you elect as your president is also your delegate to the IFF convention. So now that's like you're basically at the same time you're voting for your president, you're voting for your elected representative at the national level. So that kind of can throw a hook in things where they need to make sure that's all done properly. And I've seen this before in locals where they kind of they walk through these sometimes, and at the very the craziest spot, somebody wants to make a big deal about these, and if you haven't done them properly, then it can be a big deal. So and that most of the ones I've ever dealt with had issues where they didn't think there was an issue. They thought they were doing everything right, and all of a sudden this guy just got all mad, or this woman got all mad and said, "Hey, this is the way it's got to be," or what are you guys doing, or what, and throws a big fit about the way the process went, and the locals like, "Oh, we thought we were doing it right," and they weren't. So make sure you follow that process because it can be a big deal. It is a big deal. Any questions on elections?
The IAFF and State Union all have some good information on how to conduct elections. So if you're questioning your local's procedures, you can check out the website, the IAFF website, or the State Union's website, or email Sean or myself, and we can help you with that. So membership involvement, number of ways to get your members involved. Committee work. A lot of work of locals is done through committees. There might be a charity committee or whatever the committees that the local believes need to be in place at the time. You can get your members involved by that. They may have to show up to one committee meeting. They get to work on a project. Some members are very, very charitably oriented. Those are good people to put together in a charity committee to do work of the charity for your local. Political action committees. My local has a pretty strong political action committee. We spend money. We help influence elections. Another way to get your members involved is just survey them and see what they want. See how your members think your local is doing and what we could do to improve. Engaging your members by keeping them informed. Emails. We talked about emails earlier, that a lot of times they get glossed over, but there's a lot of stuff that happens in a month, and if you've got a busy month and a lot of things are going on, and if you shoot your members an email every week or two as to, hey, what's going on, that's going to help engage your members, keep them involved, seek their input. And remember that your members are the ones that run your local. The president of of the local, whoever's presiding over, he runs the union meeting, but it's your members that are the ones that direct how your local is to run.
And that's kind of a good point too. Like you said, that the name of this, the title of this is, you know, how to run an effective union meeting, but really should be how to chair, because like Andy just said, really the local is the one that runs the local. So your members run the local, and you're kind of just there to preside and to chair and to do your part. So it's very, very good. Going through.
Yeah, and understand that's a ton of work, but the local union executive board does a ton of work.
Okay, well, we try to keep these things to about an hour, and we've kind of covered that now. Before adjourning, before adjourning our meeting, I want to talk about what to do before adjourning your meeting. A lot of times people have these meetings and they've got a lot of really good information, a lot of good, Andy hit on a ton of really good things that you can say to get your members involved. But if you're not given the direction and the support and the resources to get those things done, then you're really setting them up for failure. So before you adjourn your meeting, make sure that the people that are given direction and have those tasks, make sure they know what's next. You don't want to just say, hey, Andy, you're on the bylaw committee at the meeting, and then that's the last you ever talk to Andy. And then the next meeting, you're like, hey, Andy, how'd the bylaw meeting go? Oh, I totally forgot how you even put me on that. No, I mean, you need to say, hey, Andy, you've been appointed to the bylaw committee. I need you to have at least 2 meetings between now and the next meeting. Take minutes. I want them open so any members can attend to give input on what the bylaws look like in the future. I want to present your proposed change at the next meeting. We will then vote at them at the following meeting, and then we'll submit it to the IFF by January 1st. Very clear, concise, and then make sure I check up on them too and make sure they say, hey, Andy, when those meetings, I want to make sure we get those things done, and Andy's taking care of it and it's done. Too many times I've been in place and they're like, yeah, committees don't work or this doesn't work. The problem is a lot of times they just don't get the good direction and any type of leadership to get that thing done. You really want to give them your expectations of where you want that thing to go. So any last questions?
You know, touching on Sean's point there, when dealing with your committees, giving them clear direction. At one point, I'd even created binders. All right, here's the election committee. Here's your rules. Here's how you have to do things. So nice. Your chair of election committee gets this binder, and you know that's the way to do it. Your charity committee. Here's how we evaluate charities. So, and here's what you guys can do. So you know, there's giving direction can be in more than one form, you know, not just talking about it, but if your local establishes procedures on how the different committees are going to run and put those right in a binder so that the committee chair has it and can work with that.
Well, we really hope that you picked up some good information on how to chair an efficient and effective meeting. Good meetings are the backbone of your local. It really keeps your membership informed and keeps your local moving forward. And the key is to, you know, that consistent, solid, good message coming out of your meetings and get people that want to attend your meetings. Because let's face it, if you don't have anybody to attend your meetings, it's going to be hard to get things done. You're not going to have a quorum to vote on things, and you're not going to be able to make committees or get people involved to get the work of your local done. So make sure we keep those meetings clear, concise, and full of good information. And we appreciate your time today. Any last questions? There's an evaluation, so thanks for your time. There's an evaluation you'll get at the end of this, so after we close out of here, you'll be able to complete that. Please submit that. We do take all that input very seriously as we produce these classes and move forward. So be brutally honest with us if there's stuff that we need to do to make it more enjoyable and a better experience. We appreciate it. Our names and emails are in your GoToWebinar information, so you can get a hold of Andy or I if you've got questions or want to send us an email. I will go over the other screen here for a second. Does anyone have a question or anything they want to add before we adjourn? Anyone? All right, well, thank you for your time. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. Andy?
Support, and just like promised, about an hour.
All right, well, thanks everybody, and we're glad you're here, and we'll see you soon. Take care.
All right.
I'm gonna stay on here for a second there, Andy.
Okay. I gotta. We shut off, Sean?
Not yet. I'm working on it.
All right. Give me about 90 seconds. I'll be right back.
Okay.